everybody. Welcome to another segment of Handy Andy here on BPTV, and we appreciate you turning in today. And what we're going to talk about today is, an important subject, but it's not one of my favorite. This is one of the jobs people ask me all the time, what do I dislike doing the most in the home improvement industry? And I have to laugh because that's what today is, stripping wallpaper. Stripping wallpaper is never fun. It's messy, but it's an important thing to know because there's a lot of do's and don'ts, and there's a lot of ways of doing it that it's going to make your life a little bit easier. So maybe you won't be as grumpy about doing a wallpaper stripping job at your house as I am. Now, when my wife and I moved into our house a good, 28 years ago or so, every room was wallpapered. So I've had a lot of practice over the years because we've gotten rid of almost all the wallpaper in the house, but still a little bit left, and hopefully my wife's not going to ask me to finish taking it off because it's messy. It's not a fun job to go. But let me show you some of the things, some of the tools and so forth that you're going to need for doing a good wallpapering job. And the first is going to be determining whether you're going to be using the liquid or the semi-paste, the gel type of wallpaper strippers, or whether you're going to go all out and go to a steam cleaning, steam stripping machine itself. So the steam one's going to do a lot better job, a lot easier job, but there's renting of machinery and so forth, which some people don't like about. But the one thing I want to start with is this is a perforation tool. Now you can get small versions of them, or you can get this bigger one. And as you can see with this is just a device that has an awful lot of spikes and so forth into and around the unit itself. And what this does is this perforates the wallpaper. And the reason that is so critical in perforating it is because if you get the holes in the wallpaper, then whether you're using the chemicals or you're using the steam to do it, it's going to get down to the bottom layer of the wallpaper, and hopefully everything's just going to fall off the wall itself. And that's why a lot of people, they'll wallpaper, then they do a second layer, then a third layer, a fourth layer. You can get a lot of layers of wallpaper up there, or I've seen where people have wallpaper and then painted over top and then wallpaper over top. And especially in those kind of instances, if you don't perforate the surface, you're going to be there forever just scraping. The trick is to perforate and let the chemical or the steam do the work itself. And when you're talking chemicals, you have a couple different brands from Diff. You have a liquid or you have a gel version of it. The gel, I'm a bigger fan of the gel because it clings to the surface a lot better than the liquid does. The liquid, like it says, it's a liquid on it. So you have gallons, you have bottles, you have ready to use. And after you, of course, start by laying drop cloths down on the floor, because this is going to be a very messy endeavor. So you want to make sure you have some either plastic or canvas drop cloths down, because everything falling off the wall is going to puddle and get right on the floor itself. So whether the gel or the liquid, after you put your drop cloths down and you go through and perforate everything, making sure you get every inch of the wall with the perforation tool, then you could start with the gel or the liquid. And if you're using the concentrate, of course, you got to mix it, put it in either a bucket and sponge it on, or you could put it into smaller bottles and just spray it on. Then you put it on the surface. And now here's the big trick. In today's world, today's society, we are all very, very impatient. I know I am, and most people are. So you put this on, and then once right away you're sitting there and you want to strip and strip and strip. That's a bad thing. You bought the chemical, now let the chemical do the work itself. And I'm talking letting it sit for a good 20 to 30 minutes and let that absorb through the 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of wallpaper that you have on it. Going with the perforation tool, it's going to soak in through all of those holes that you have, and then the chemical itself will dissolve the adhesive, and hopefully that paper is falling and rolling right off the wall onto the floor itself. And if not, there's different kind of scrapers that you could be using. There's big scrapers, little scrapers. I like the longer handle one myself, And with that scraper, it's a very, very sharp edge on it. And the thing with this tool that I like is it's sharp on both sides of the blade. So as the one side dulls, you can just loosen it, take the screws out, flip the blade around, then you have another sharp blade on the other side. But as the paper is falling off the wall, after you've let it sit long enough to dissolve that, you could just take the scraper and you can just pull underneath the paper as you're grabbing it, and it's going to help release that adhesive that may still be on the wall itself and helping that wallpaper to fall off the wall onto the floor itself. Ease is everything, so having the right tools, having the right adhesives to do it is going to be critical with it. But the gel, like I said, is a clinging. It's a little better because it'll hold to the paper itself a lot better. If you're using the liquid, just be prepared to apply the paste, the adhesive remover, let it sit, and go back and apply it again. And so watch what the adhesive remover is doing. If it's soaking in or just rolling down the wall itself, have that sponge ready to continually pick up the paper adhesive and reapply it to the surfaces itself, because you want to make sure the product's not going to work if it's just sitting on the drop cloth. You have to make sure that the adhesive remover is on the surface of the wallpaper, so you're constantly allowing it to dissolve the surface area of the paper and the adhesive. Now, a lot of people say, well, I just use vinegar and baking soda or any of those kind of home remedies on it. That's fine. That vinegar is going to work to a point. It doesn't work anywhere near as well as what the chemicals do. So, but once again, allowing time for the adhesive remover to work is going to be critical to getting that wallpaper adhesive dissolved so it'll fall off the wall. And if you start scraping too early, what you're going to do, you're going to tug at that paper, you're going to end up damaging the wallboard or the plaster underneath, and then you're going to take gouges out of the drywall, the plaster that you have on the wall if you get too impatient and are digging too deep. So the trick, once again, is being patient. I know it's hard, but being patient and allowing the chemical to absorb through the surface to dissolve the paper, to the adhesive on the paper, and hopefully if you waited long enough, go out and have breakfast or something or lunch, come back and that paper is sitting right on the floor. So it'll dissolve it and everything will come right off. Now I want to move to this little puppy, and this is the steam tool itself. And how these operate is you're taking the cap off and you really need to use distilled water. You want to use distilled water. You don't want to use regular tap water, because the distilled water that you're putting into it, that distilled water, it doesn't clog up the system like regular tap water. Our regular tap water has a lot of calcium and a lot of other chemicals in it that are going to gum up the unit, and in particular the head itself of the unit where all the steam comes out of the center rod on the head. So you add the water to it, tighten everything up, you put the machine down on that drop cloth you have, and here's the trick again. It goes to that world of being patient. You have to let this machine warm up. You can't dump the water in, plug it in, and expect that water to heat up and be steam instantaneously. That's going to take you a good 30, 45, even 50 minutes before you get that into steam. So if you're starting your day early, go ahead and set this stuff up, then turn it on, plug it in, turn it on, and then go have that breakfast, go have that cup of coffee or something, go watch the news, do something to allow the machine to actually get hot. And then once again, you go to the wall, you have to make sure, once again, that you've perforated everything, because the wallpaper steamer, to get that steam through all those layers of paper, are going to take a lot longer. To get that steam through all these little holes that you've punctured into the wallpaper, that's going to be a lot easier itself. So, like I said, I've done a lot of wallpaper stripping, and this definitely is the way to go. And being patient and let it sit is going to be critical. So the only mess you're cleaning up is moisture, water from the steam itself. So you perforate it, you plug this in, and then you're just waving the wand slowly over top of the surfaces itself. And as you slowly move this wallpaper, remover tool over the surface. The steam is going to be coming out of all these holes that are on the center of this rod, and that steam is going to hit the wallpaper. It's going to go through all those perforation holes. Then lo and behold, that paper is going to fall off of the wall itself. So hopefully that paper was put upright and they used a wall sizing or a wall primer, and that way that wallpaper adhesive with a steamer, it literally falls off the wall onto the floor. Then you're just picking up all those pieces of wallpaper, putting it in a garbage bag, sponging and mopping up the excess moisture, and then your wall is done and stripped. And then it takes you to the next step, which is going to be repairing that wall, whether you're using some patching compounds, some plaster Paris, not plaster Paris, but patching compounds, some Set 45, some different compounds to patch any holes, nooks, and crannies. And then from there, a critical step that a lot of people forget about is going to be the primer. There's a very specialized primer, and we've talked about Zinsser before. Zinsser is an amazing company owned by Rust-Oleum that makes a lot of specialty kind of primers. And what this does is this is a primer that is made to adhere to wallpaper adhesive. Because now if you go through and you're sanding to get all that adhesive off and you're sure you got 100% off, you could use maybe the regular Zinsser 123 primer. But most people can't guarantee me that they've gotten all of that wallpaper adhesive off. And this is product simply called Guards, and this is a primer made by Zinsser that neutralizes all that wallpaper adhesive that you may have left on the wall itself. Because if you go ahead and use a regular paint without priming and it had a lot of the adhesive left on there, that paint is going to crackle and peel and come right off the wall itself. And it's going to really be a mess, because then you're going to have to really heavily sand the whole wall to get that old primer off or that top coat off. But with the Guards, the Guard neutralizes that wallpaper adhesive. It bonds the primer to the surface. Then when that dries, you go ahead and use your top coat, whether you want gray, pink, yellow, red, whatever color you want for the finish coat. That'll go right on here, and you got a good solid bonding surface. Anytime you paint, paint is only as good as the surface that you're painting. And if the surface isn't a good secured surface, you put your new paint on and the old surface takes the new paint right off with it. So priming is critical. I'm not a big fan of those all-in-one, top coat, primer all mixed into one. I think you're cheating, you're being impatient, and you're not doing it proper. The prep work is everything to a great looking job. So perforating, getting your drop cloths, using a steamer, using these, getting that old wallpaper off, sanding, patching, priming with the Guards primer, and then top coat with your top coat. Then everyone's going to be happy, and you're going to have an amazing looking bedroom or kitchen or bathroom or whatever it is that you're going to be painting with it. But sounds pretty easy, is pretty easy, is messy. I don't like it. I do it, but it is it's just one of those jobs. I'd rather demolition a house or do all the electrical or plumbing work for it than wallpaper stripping. But yeah, it is what it is. You have to do some of everything. But there you go. There's your wallpaper stripping 101. And I'm your host, Andy Amrine. I do appreciate you watching our segments on it, and I appreciate you watching BPTV. I'll see you again soon.